Okay, question one. Once they head back here to the House of Commons, they've got this minority government. They're just three seats shy of a majority. So let's remind everybody, first of all, where the seat count is. You've got 169 for the Liberals, 144 for the Conservatives, 22 for the Bloc, just 7 for the NDP, and of course Elizabeth May with the 1 Green. The Liberals, in their last incarnation of a minority government, had that supply and confidence deal with the NDP, giving it some leverage. What does this new dynamic mean in the House of Commons? Where are they going to pull their support?
Well, I think they have a few options, right? And I think that puts them in a strong position. We see they can pull from the NDP around issues that resonate for the NDP. They can pull from the Bloc at times. They may even be able to pull from the Conservatives, around there's some consensus on key issues, around taxation or, developing our energy sector. So I think they're in a strong position in that sense. We saw, there was some real differences in this election, but there was unity about responding particularly to the U.S.
Yeah. Looking south of the border for where the fight should be and not in the House of Commons. Let me ask you really quickly, just 3 seats shy. Is it possible that they're looking to pull 3 people over from anywhere in the House?
And that's always an option. We'll see, I think right out of the bat, they're looking to, address those issues that we're seeing, the challenges from the South.
Yeah.
That may be more important.
The share of the vote, popular vote, nearly split down the middle, both of them in the 40%, Liberals at 44, Conservatives in 41. Canada obviously is divided on how we need to respond and who needs to be the one to respond to U.S. President Trump. How much room is there here for the Liberals and the Conservatives to work together with that in mind? Like, we don't want to see this delay that we saw in this last incarnation with, the Conservatives delaying decisions for months at a time.
Yeah, I think there is a real unity in a way around that we need to respond to the U.S. We're going to stand up. We're not going to take the Trump piece, what those threats mean. So I don't see as much division there. How we do it, that's a big question.
We talk about our relationship with the U.S., but in his victory speech, Prime Minister Carney said very clearly our old relationship with the United States is over. So what does a new one need to look like?
Yeah, I think that's what we have to rebuild here. And again, I think they come in a strong position, united. We saw record voter turnout. That's a significant, issue for Canada because it shows that people have resolved to stand up. And it might involve sacrifice. So, are we willing to make those sacrifices to stand up for our sovereignty, for our economic well-being? That's the question.
Well, and it's how much people are willing to sacrifice and where they're choosing to sacrifice. And that's the difference in these two platforms and under these two leaders. Between the trade war, affordability, housing, defense, there's a lot of big issues on the docket. What are you looking for in these first few weeks of Carney's first few weeks in office?
Well, I think it's really important to remember that the issues that led to the decline in popularity of the Liberals just 6 months ago still exist.
Yeah.
The affordability crisis, even climate crisis, which wasn't a big issue, that's not going away. How do we resolve those issues? The Liberals really have to make sure that they're listening to all Canadians and addressing those people who feel particularly precarious today.
Okay, and specifically, let's talk about Premier Danielle Smith. She came out yesterday not only with her statement saying that there's going to be a caucus meeting on Friday, but she also verbally said, this is what we will not stand for anymore. She's not talking about leaving, but she's saying this is what we won't put up with anymore. This is the economic power we have. But where does he begin to reach out to Premier Smith when the last time they had an interaction, he was making fun of her during a speech?
Yeah, I think we can have these political fights between our leaders, but if we lose sight of the real precarity that all Canadians face, and I think that's part of what the people like Danielle Smith and, are responding to is people feeling precarious, and the support they're getting is because of that. If we're able to give people confidence that they will have jobs, that they can thrive, I think that will help resolve a lot of these core issues.
So, John, when they come back at the end of May, this is a different picture that's going to be looking at the House of Commons that's behind us. What are you watching for?
Well, I am watching for their, how we're responding to the U.S., And I'm watching to see if they have a real plan that's aggressive, that's bold, that people feel confident that we can address things like housing affordability, precarity in jobs, that they lay out that vision in a way that's action-oriented.
What does bold mean to you? Because there's something about a campaign speech of bold and then actual bold action.
Yeah, I think bold in this context means that it is something that will be actionable in the short term, that will have immediate impacts. We saw a bold response during COVID when they put in, sent out checks to people who lost their jobs. That's, to me, is bold.
Okay.
So that's the kind of response we need in this moment.
John Beebe, founder of the Democratic Engagement Exchange at Toronto Metropolitan University. Go and get some sleep. Today's catch-up day, right?
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.